one thing, I'd love to also ask you about is, because what we found is that sometimes in the industry in years past, we found technology wasn't exactly helping us move the needle, but now we're seeing so much more from technology and the evolution, really enabling our teams to do more, to connect, to really understand data better. So if you could help us understand from your perspective, how has technology enabled your teams to execute on your strategy?
Absolutely. And, look, there is a world of brilliant people and technology out there, and often we just don't engage them in the right way and make it simple to understand what it is we're going after. In fact, often we don't actually let our tech team know what we're going after. It makes it really hard for them to help. And so we work in virtual cross-functional teams to identify where we can deploy technology to make it easier. Especially in things like data governance and control by design, thinking about lineage for data as you imagine one critical data element has multiple hundreds of control points and many thousands of data points. When you're trying to do that manually, it's a nightmare. So technology comes in to help us. We do partner with Informatica in this space, but there's lots of different parts of technology that can help us with our data value chain. And one of the things I believe in very much is the ecosystem that needs to come together. So when you're thinking about building a new muscle, then bring in the people that actually already have that muscle rather than trying to invent it yourself. And so a partnership we have with AWS is actually around how do we fast track our ability to provide value at scale to customers. They've done this for many years, and they have that capability. So by bringing them in, but not bringing them in to do it for us, bringing them in to teach us and to help us to build our own muscle. So that's how we've done that. And AWS have been a fantastic partner for us to help inspire as well, and to help us with coaching and learning. So that's just two examples of the type of partners that we have in our ecosystem. That also then extends to the wider CDO community. I think that there's a lot to be won for everybody by bringing different industry category conversations together. So, what is healthcare doing? How's telco working? What's happening in other parts of the world? And that conversation, I think what we find is the more that we talk with each other, the more we find problems in common, and the more that we find solutions that we can agree on or disagree on or debate. It just helps stretch your mind. It helps you to think about things from different angles. And so I really encourage and very, very excited to be part of some very big global ecosystems, which are very, very helpful.
Yeah, excellent, Sonya. I'll tell you, from the very first moment that I met you, I said, boy, so many CEOs around the world that I've met with can certainly learn from Sonya. Sonya's got a lot to share. And Sonya, you've always had a continuous learning mentality and spirit about yourself, about wanting not only to share, but also to learn. So couldn't agree more, in terms of the global sharing of information. In fact, this final question is something I love asking all of our CDOs is your lessons learned. You've got all the bumps and the scars from having been, a major change agent for something huge there at Westpac and many other companies that you've worked for. So what are some of your top lessons learned that you'd love to share with us today?
Oh, yeah, I have so many bruises, but each one of them makes you stronger, right? Right. I guess, from a top 10 point of view, first up, it starts at the top. If you don't have your executive and your board understanding and excited about data, then that's going to be a hard journey, right? So finding ways to connect, finding those champions, making sure that the language and the storytelling that you bring to those audiences excites them. And in fact, actually, the word data excitement came from a board member. I said, I was talking about data driven, and she said, you know what, we really need to be data excited, Sonya. And and I thought that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. I'm going to completely adopt that, plagiarize it, and take it. But that's the kind of inspiration that you need from that level. And I really encourage boards to be thinking about what data voices do you have championing your CDOs and your business in this space? How are you telling data stories? That's really important, especially if you want to be a modern digital organisation. These are skills that boards and executive need to have. Secondly, people first and foremost. Everything starts and stops and is won by people. We have great technology, but it's the people who actually make it great. So building relationships and earning trust is critical, and especially as you're building out new themes and where you're trying to be a change agent. So in order to affect change, it all comes down to trust. And if you have trust in place, people will give you a chance to try something and get on board with you. So that's key. And how we nurture and look after our people. I'm sure that across the world right now, everyone's fighting the same fight in terms of talent. And, how do we nurture and bring skills through, but how do we make the environment great for people to succeed in? That's key. It's not just, hiring someone into a role. It's not salary. It's actually, how do you make them successful? How do you make them want to show up every day? How do you inspire them and give them a great story to go after? That's equally important for the business as it is for the data team that are trying to support and make that happen. The third one is, which is go for brilliant basics. We're not trying to this is hard. A lot of things are fragmented. I've focused in on smashing the silos. And I think the more that we can communicate and be transparent about where we are and what we're doing, the more that understanding builds. So instead of saying yes and then going away and trying to solve a gnarly problem, bring the gnarly problem to the surface and then try to undo one part of the knot at a time. It's the old classic: eat the elephant one bite at a time. But making things accessible as well is key in this brilliant basics. So and always connecting to a piece of value, because if you can't prove that value, you're just doing something shiny. And that then goes to number 4, which is connect to the big picture in a commercial way. The results really matter, and we have to be outcome focused. That's a way to bring data out of the back room as well, is to make sure that we are actually actively understanding. And if you don't understand where the commercial value is in what you're doing, then you have to question why you're doing it. And is there a bigger priority that's actually going to create value? Number 5, put your capability where it matters most. We often have hidden talent sitting on its own with no support around, and you treat everyone as if they're a unicorn. That's, sad to say, there's not actually that many unicorns in the world, and if there are, they get burnt out. So bringing people together in the right way and nurturing them and helping them to work together, bringing your great people together to work on that steel thread. They'll be the champions for how that then scales out. Bring people through and rotate them so that it's more fluid talent, so they're actually getting an opportunity to try different things. But reducing duplication of effort through thinking more holistically around the work and how to actually bring that capability towards that as well. Number 6, collaborate and co-design. Same theme coming through, but actually, getting skin in the game means bringing people into the room early and keeping them in the room. I learned through a lot of the work I did in innovation is if you don't have the end owner in the room at the beginning, they're not going to have buy-in. It's going to be your responsibility all the way through. So have them in the room right from the beginning. Make sure that you're delivering to an outcome that they're owning it and believe in as well. Because these things really matter, and also you can fast track that way because often, in the past, I've been working on a piece of customer value, and by having the people who are owning that at the interface in the room at the beginning, you uncover a whole lot of operational efficiencies at the same time. So big wins by doing that. Measure it, make sure that you're measuring what you're doing, and that means not just the outcome, but actually the little wins along the way and the proof points. So that you can actually see that you're making progress and that other people can see that you're making progress as well. Number 6, become a storyteller. Oh, actually, I think I've gone way past number 6. My numbers are all over the place. Become a storyteller. we have to make our data relatable and talk about it in terms of what does it do? Like, if we're working on a project, what is it actually doing? And tell that story in your as if it's your life that this is affecting. And if you can bring it to life in a way and become a storyteller, then other people can relate to it more. I often see the word data as something that people sort of have an allergic reaction to. And I think it's because it's seen as techie and black box, and we need to change that up, right? And talk about what it's actually doing for people. And then we have this transparency is really, really important. I think that the more that we can be open and transparent about what we're doing, the more that the understanding and awareness, it's not just pressing a button and things magically happen. It'd be great if that was the case. And in some cases, we're getting towards that, but not most of the time. So understanding that, bringing that to life and being really clear about where we are and what we can and can't do, and learning from, I think, the learning lessons and sharing the failures is really important too, because I don't see them as failures. I just see them as steps to learning how to do things well. So, we need to be really clear and transparent and embrace that too. That also helps people to feel like they have permission to experiment. And, we can actually stop things that aren't working, because we'll call them instead of, forcing something and ticking a box just to say we've done it. And if it's not going to deliver that outcome, we don't hold true to that outcome, then let's call it a failure, or let's call it a lesson learned. And then lastly, small steps to greatness. Think agile and demonstrate through doing by starting small. And it's amazing how it snowballs over time. It's exciting. It's such a great space to be in. I think that, we can make magic happen. We can turn the world around through data, and certainly trying it from this end.
Excellent, Sonya. I tell you, every time I sit down with you and have a conversation, I always learn so much. And I know that our CDO community listening today has learned a lot from you and also have been inspired. I mean, you're an inspiration to many CDOs. I want to thank you for your partnership, as we partner in your journey, but then also in this event here with CDO Magazine. So thank you again for joining us, and please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. Again, stay safe and healthy, everybody. Thank you.